Assalamu alaikum everybody. I really hope you enjoy this video, and it's going to be about basically me and my expectations on what I've experienced and what I've felt, why I felt the way I did. Alright, tune in. As you guys can see in the title, it says my religious journey as a Black American revert Muslim. This is going to help break the ties off with anybody who's been curious or anybody who wants to understand my transition from, being part of a Christian type of routine to now being a Muslim and having that new routine. All right, so for me personally, I remember growing up and I was always so focused on just joining something just because of the sake of my family joining it. So I don't know if there's anybody out there who kind of had that same mindset, like, since your family is part of something that is something that you've kept close around for years. I mean, I'm 21 now, and I did my transition of being a Muslim last year, so I was 20. Yeah, I was 20. And so all I get from this whole thing is a form of relief, I should say. The point that I was getting at is a lot of times we think we have to be involved in something just because of our families being involved in it. And this was my biggest problem with me. Growing up, that's kind of what always made me feel close to my family, was participating on what traditionally was inspired, from my parents or from my mom. Because my mom, she's a Christian, and my dad, he is a Muslim too. But since my dad was locked up, he wasn't able to really influence that spirituality to where we can kind of lean on to, I'd say, his understandings of what, we're supposed to be taught. And so it was just my mother teaching me and my brother. And so she raised us and brought us around Christianity because that was her truth. That's what she embraced. That's what helped her grow, through life and understand everything that she's experienced. And so there's no shame in my mom doing what she did to help me and my brother, because the mindset that I have now is inspired by my mom. Like, she helped me basically be a man that she believed was capable of doing great things in this world. She raised me how she would want a man to be. And I'm grateful because I'm able to sit here and be able to tell my story to anybody who might be getting on that jump of having a story for themselves too. So for me, the transition really was very difficult because I thought that by me doing this basically meant that I wouldn't have a connection with my family. And in a way, the only disconnection that I have is that I'm practicing a different faith. I'm becoming someone else. This was my mindset at first. And I was just very emotional because part of me knew that this transition meant that I would become unrecognizable or think that I'm trying to intimidate them because of me wanting to get stronger with my faith. And that's kind of how I see being a Muslim, because, we pray 5 times a day, we fast on the month of Ramadan, and we go to the mosque, on Fridays. You can go anytime, but, specifically at Jummah, so you can, connect with the brothers, and if you're a sister, you can connect with the sisters. So it's like there's a lot of action from what I've seen in terms of like Islam and being a Muslim. Like for me, Christianity, like it wasn't really practicing anything, that was halal, really. And I'm not trying to bash any Christians, but it's just with how I looked at Christianity, I felt like there wasn't more of an action type of mindset there. Like, yeah, you can pray 5 times a day as a Christian, but then you can stop whenever you feel like it. For a Muslim, like, we have to, like, we need to stay connected to God every single day. And even fasting, like, and praying 5 times a day to where you can be truly connected to God is by far one of the best things and experiences I've ever experienced in my life. And so I really it's so weird to even be talking about this because I've never really talked and shared. I was just talking to somebody a few days ago, and they asked me what was my biggest accomplishment, and I told them that it was me choosing a religious journey that I believed was best for me. Like the whole practicing thing, when it came to being a Muslim really helped change me mentally, because I went from someone who used to stay up late, watch games, or watch people, play games, or watch TV, or just stay up because I'm scrolling on my phone, to, okay, I got to go to bed by like 10:30 or 10:45 so I can wake up for Fajr, pray to God, and then, start my day from there. Because it's not good that you do fall asleep after you get done praying Fajr, because, I mean, that's the time where you can start getting work done. And so for me, I was looking at that because I used to sleep throughout the day too. But then when I started praying five times, I put up 10 fingers. When I started praying 5 times a day, it really changed my routines in life, because now I'm like, okay, I got to do this before this prayer time so it doesn't, bash up and I'm like kind of overwhelmed and, stuck on something. So when I'm praying, I'm thinking about it. And then, I kind of can't function mentally because of me not disciplining and prioritizing correctly. Like all of these different things. Becoming a Muslim has been by far one of the greatest experiences ever, because I have brothers everywhere around the world that support me, because I post content on here so I can build a community, because for me, I wanted to help influence other, revert Muslims too, who are in a Christian household, because that's kind of where I am at right now. Is everybody here is a Christian, and so I'm the only Muslim. And so for me, it's a little bit difficult because I kind of only stay in this area in terms of like praying if I'm home, and I can't really embrace this new version of myself more unless like I leave and move out. And it's a respect thing too, because for my little brothers, I don't want to, and it's not my place to teach them something else that my mom's teaching them. That's not my place. It's not. And if you think that I should, it's still wrong, because it's like someone who is a Muslim like me, and I'm trying to force somebody else to look into Islam and just convert and look into being a Muslim, And so, or I should say revert, because revert is basically a meaning from what I've learned, that we're all born Muslims and that we kind of get separated from the original faith and then we come back to that. So that's why a lot of times people say revert, if anybody's curious, if you're a non-Muslim. But no, it's not my place to teach them a different spiritual journey, because they're not my kids. Now, for my kids personally, I do want them to be a Muslim. I do want to teach them the way that I've been taught myself and that I followed from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. So that's personally my journey on where I'm at when it comes to parenthood. But a lot of change did happen when I became a Muslim. Like, I gained this confidence, because I gained this confidence that really helped me become stronger as a man, because I didn't really understand Islam until I started really looking into it. And from what I've seen, it helps with masculinity. It helps with really understanding roles between a man and a woman. And that's something that for me is what I really like, is roles. I don't like somebody trying to, tell a woman she shouldn't be in her feminine, or a woman trying to tell a man that, you need to be on top tier masculine. Like, there's roles that are respectful, that help one another become great. My past life, I don't want to expose my sins, it wasn't registering in my mind about the world. Like, I cared about the world more than I cared about my relationship with God. Like, I wasn't having a routine. I was still young, thinking about, girls and staying out late and all these different things. And it just wasn't a halal lifestyle. And so when I looked into really embracing Islam, obviously I do my very best with lowering my gaze, making sure that I don't look at anything that's haram or anything that's going to increase desires and influence haram, or put myself in a crowd where there is a haram. Like, that's just foolish. Like, for me, my routine's simple. I do my prayers. I work hard so I can save and invest money. I post content on here so I can connect with you guys. And then I kind of go from there. Like, that's pretty much it. And also, bear with me, I'm also fasting today too. Like, during this whole month of November, I have plans and goals that I plan on achieving. And so I'm fasting right now so I can be spiritually connected to God and also being connected to within my deeper self. So bear with me if I might sound a little drowsy a little bit, you guys, but becoming a Muslim honestly is a hard task. And I only say hard because it's discipline. Discipline is hard. It's not always easy doing the same things every single day because sometimes I don't have that motivation that I get to pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala until after I get done praying Fajr. I'm like, dang, I was just really complaining, and there's probably somebody who is dying to be able to pray exactly how I'm praying. Being able to get the prayer rug and just prostrate your head and pray on the ground. Like, there's somebody who is begging to do that. And so there's times where I'm kind of just humble and I'm grateful that I did it anyway. But it's hard sometimes because sometimes you want to just go back to your old lifestyle, but then you realize, it's not good. You shouldn't be doing that. Overall, with, me talking to anybody, I chose Islam because I believed it was going to help me for the rest of my life. I believed it was going to influence a different cycle for the rest of my life. Like, for me, I feel like Islam is more of a disciplined spirituality journey because it's caused a lot of greatness from what I've visualized, what I've seen, and what my own self experiences have happened. Like, I don't really even talk about that because I don't really have people I can talk to about. I feel like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is putting me on a journey right now where I'm kind of having halal comfort instead of haram communities and, all that bad stuff. But for me, I looked at Islam for a long-term goal. You got your short-term goals and you got your long-term goals. I could have used Islam's teachings as like a short-term goal. So it's just helping me get by because I know this is going to help me out. But looking into the long run for how is this going to affect me? Like, I want kids. Would I want my kids to be practicing this? Would I want my wife to be a Muslim? And Islam is very beautiful with creating a structure that is unbreakable. And I look at that and that's something that I want in my life. Like, with how I was raised, there was a lot of opportunity of a lot of haram. And it was dysfunctional in a way because everybody kind of experienced their own traumas. For me, I feel like Islam kind of helps create a structure that is just clear. I feel like when I learned about Islam a little bit and I really took my time to not just listen to the media, listen to other people, it's helped me become a better version of myself. And I say that proudly. I chose to follow this religion because it helps me respect myself. It helps me get into the mindset, don't do all of these bad things. Focus on healing yourself. Trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Don't follow the world. If there's anything Islam has taught me, it's not to follow the world. I don't care about this world. I mean, I know that I got to use this world to help navigate sometimes, but I don't put it on a high pedestal like I used to, if that makes sense. I'm very grateful for accepting this religion, and I'm very grateful for Allah guiding me because I feel like He's been guiding me for a long time. I've encountered one Muslim brother, and that was a long time ago. So that wasn't a long time ago. It was around 2 years ago. But it just feels like a long time ago. But he was at this one black symposium. It was something that my teacher had allowed me and my cousin to go to and experience for young black brothers who kind of are in the mindset of wanting to be entrepreneurs and be great. And so he was wearing a suit and he had a tie, and I was like, man, that man's fresh. And so I was just talking to him, and he had gave me his card, and I don't remember when I kind of registered that he was a Muslim, physically. It was only when I seen his card. So I looked at his card and I seen the moon, and I was like, wait. And I look back at it now and I was like, he was a Muslim. I didn't even know. But I feel like Islam and God has always been guiding me to really focus on where I'm at in my life. And on top of that too, this all started too when this was my first consideration of reverting. So I was practicing Ramadan. This was last year in 2023. I was practicing my first Ramadan, and I basically was fasting. I was practicing. I wasn't a Muslim yet, but in my mindset mentally, I was challenging myself to look into the religion. And so I ended up going to my grandfather's house because it was late. I was driving there, and I just spent the night at his house because I didn't want to drive out too late. And so in my mind, I was going to go back home because I wanted to eat this pumpkin pie that I had saved. But it was Ramadan, so I was like, okay, I can hurry up and eat this food that my mom saved me and all this good stuff. So early in the morning, I woke up, and it was like probably like 5, and I was just heading home. And my main goal was to fast, obviously fast, but go to eat. And then I was going to drive to the mosque because I had just got a nice car. But I ended up getting in a car accident. And so everything kind of transformed into, okay, I was still considered a Christian because I didn't label myself as a Muslim yet. So in my mind, I'm thinking maybe this is God punishing me because I'm not staying true to this religion. Maybe I should just stay here and stay put. But in my mind, I'm like, but I really think this is going to help me be a better person in my life. So I was battling these thoughts like, okay, Jesus, help me out. Jesus, please this and that. But I'm like, but this doesn't make sense to me. You know, this is all God. Like, Jesus isn't God. He's just a man. And so it's like I'm battling these thoughts while I got in the car accident because I was in the ambulance. And I'm just constantly battling these thoughts. And so in my mind, I officially said, you know what? I trust that I am capable of making this decision. And so I still looked into embracing Islam. And eventually my sister, she took me to the mosque for the first time. And she's actually in one of my vlogs too. She took me to the mosque for the very first time. And I felt relieved because I feel like God was saying, okay, if you really want to go on this path, then I want you to run towards me. And so I ran. I eventually kept on being curious, focusing on, you know, how is this going to affect my life overall, my family's life, you know. And I ended up downloading a Muslim app. And for me, I ended up typing, saying, when I take my Shahada, how am I going to feel embracing this new journey of Islam, and et cetera, et cetera. And so a brother actually typed and said, hey, I can help you take your Shahada. He was somewhere very far away, so the time zones were definitely off. But alhamdulillah that we were allowed to connect and, you know, text and stuff like that. And, you know, I just told him my information. I sent him my email, and we were able to set up a Zoom call. And I remember our conversation, he was asking me, he said, why do you want to become a Muslim? And I was like, well, I feel like this is actually for me. I feel like this is for my journey. He was like, okay, because I wouldn't have taken your Shahada if you were saying that you're converting for a woman. And I was like, oh my God, no. Astaghfirullah. And so I ended up taking my Shahada, and it was a very beautiful moment because I still have it recorded till this day. And ever since that, I felt relieved that I no longer was in that mindset of I have to only do this because my family, you know, inspired it in the beginning. Overall, I just felt very confident, and ever since then, I believe I've been changing for the better. I've been learning. I don't know what that was. Learning about who I'm becoming. You know, Islam helped me teach more strict boundaries over myself, so I can't just let anybody walk all over me. And you shouldn't let anybody walk on you anyway either. But I really hope I kind of expressed a little bit of my, you know, my path, because I was in a way fighting, just trying to see what was best for me. And I'm glad that, you know, that car accident situation, I didn't allow that to stop me from wanting to pursue and learn about being a Muslim or just looking into Islam. Because that could have been it. I could have been like, okay, this is a sign not to definitely do this. But I took that as a sign for Allah testing me to see how far and how fast I'm willing to run towards Him on a path that's going to be to righteousness. Now, if you watch this whole video through, I very much appreciate you guys kind of listening to my religious journey. I do think that you guys should definitely talk about your story because it helps people really get confident with choosing a path they believe is righteousness for them. Whew. That's going to be a lot of editing, but I'm definitely grateful I did this because I haven't really openly talked about this. But I hope you guys are having a great day. Stay focused and salam.